Want to share a story. I think this came to me by way of one of the monks from the Society of St. John the Evangelist. It goes like this. I think one of these monks was doing spiritual direction with a young mom. And the young mom shared this amazing story of a moment, sort of a golden moment that moved her to tears when her son, her infant son, did something for the first time that he'd never done before. So up to this point, mom, being a good mom, like any mom, was always so attentive to every movement that this child made that she could anticipate every need, whether the child was hungry or needed to be held or needed a diaper change or needed a nap. Whatever that child was in the need of, mom knew the child so thoroughly that she could anticipate that and offer that and give that to the child. But on this one day, I'm not sure how old the child was, rather than the child turned to mom, so looked her in the eye, and in whatever verbal, command of the language the child had, asked for what the child needed. And in that moment, the mother was moved to tears. And I'll just dare say, my understanding of it is that she was seen for the first time. She'd been giving and giving and giving, and this child had been taking and taking and taking, not really totally recognizing where all this goodness was coming from, but one day managed to look up and acknowledge that this was the source of all that goodness. Moved her to tears. On the 22nd, which is what? Today's the 19th. Tomorrow, Monday, Earth Day. And as you all know, no doubt, 1970, April 22nd, I'm not sure how that day was chosen, but many years ago, that was what is now acknowledged as the day that we sort of turned like that child. Maybe, in fact, I'm just making this up right now, but I'm not sure at what point that picture at the back of our nave of the blue marble, at what point it might have been the Apollo mission that didn't actually land on the moon, but it was that first one that got far enough away for the first time to look back and go, whoa. And it seems to me that look back might have been that moment, like the child looks back and goes, whoa. All this time we've been receiving, taking, and never really acknowledging that there is this loving source that has given us all that we've ever needed. But we've never, up to that point, stopped to acknowledge. And who knows, maybe that turning back and looking at that blue marble caused Mother Earth to shed a tear. And even that I find is interesting, that maybe up to that point we just talk about planet Earth, this thing that we're standing on, and considered it sort of this object that's just going to give. But to come up with such language as Mother Earth, to see it as somehow a fellow being, a fellow subject, is a radical change in our relationship with Earth. Buckminster Fuller, I think, striving for the same outcome by encouraging us to consider this thing we're standing on. He called it Spaceship Earth? Again, we're all in this together. In our Book of Common Prayer, we have this fragile earth, our island home. All of that language is, it seems to me, trying to capture this matured relationship that we can have with this planet Earth in a way that I think begins to change us in our perspective in a way that I think would help in a profound, fundamental, foundational way in terms of how we treat the earth. All right, so I'll keep that simple. Good Shepherd Sunday, good timing in my mind. We have the hired hand and the Good Shepherd. Simple images, profound in meaning. Hired hand's the guy who punches the clock, shows up, he's been hired, he's going to get paid. going to kind of look out there on the field and say, oh yeah, those sheep, I'm going to kind of keep an eye on them for the time being. And I don't have to know them by name. They're just, I have to know how many there might be. There may be 8, 10, 20 out there. But there's no relationship. It's just he's hired to do the job and is kind of in it for himself. Am I going to get paid at the end of the day? I don't really care about these sheep. If in fact the wolf comes and my life is threatened, whoa, that's where I draw the line. I'm out of here. Sheep, good luck on your own. I'm hired. So it's the hired hand captures beautifully and very simply that approach to life where it's pretty much about me. The Good Shepherd is the complete opposite. The Good Shepherd takes the time to see individually that each of these sheep is not just an object, something that's going to be butchered and sold at some point, but has in itself some kind of agency, some kind of being that is worthy of acknowledgement and respect. And so the Good Shepherd has a not one-way relationship, but a two-way relationship. So for me, it begs the question, we all, when we hear that story, and generally it's focused on Jesus as the Good Shepherd and we the sheep, but I see it as a call to each of us to take on the identity, the agency of the Good Shepherd. And I've said repeatedly, and probably haven't heard me say this, but I couldn't think of a higher compliment at the end of my life for someone to say, he was trustworthy, he was a good shepherd. He really did care more about others than himself, and for that, I love him, and for that, I will always remember him as a trustworthy person. That's what I believe at some level, we wish to aspire to. But why is it that, left to our own devices, it seems, the child who just keeps saying, hey, just gimme, 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 and there's never the acknowledgement. So let me just close sort of with another image that comes to mind, trying to work this out. It's from the Buddhist tradition. Again, maybe you know this. So here's the quick story. There was a village who knew that within days they were going to be under assault by, the enemy. And so they ran around to prepare for this assault. They couldn't, avoid it. And the one treasure they had that was more precious to them than anything was this golden statue. And they knew that if, they were attacked, this was the first thing that the enemy would pounce on and take away. So they smartly got a bunch of mud and covered the whole thing up in mud. So when the attacking forces came, they went right by it. Didn't even notice. Just and the war ended, and maybe the people fled and never came back. But many years later, there was this mud statue, and no one remembered that underneath that mud was this golden, timeless, luminescent source. So the Buddhists tell that in saying that you and I have no idea, because of how caked in mud we are, that in the core of each and every one of us is this everlasting, priceless core, golden core. And our problem, it seems, that how is it we can maybe begin to move, wipe away the mud and be able to actually get in touch with what truly we are. And it seems to me that how we do that comes back to the golden moment that this mom had, that we have, each of us, the capacity to look toward Mother Earth, to look toward one another, and not see someone from whom we can take something to meet my need, a need that wouldn't be there as intensely as it is if I was aware that at my core, I am priceless. I think the ignorance we have about how blessed forever we are as human beings gives us this insatiable appetite. And this is where our earth truly is on some kind of precipice. We are these ravenous consuming beings who are so intent to look out from ourselves to fill this sort of remnant understanding of this desire to know that we're in touch with something everlasting and golden. All the while, it's right here. And again, I'm working this out, but it seems to me every time we can, like the child to the mom, see in one another, really see. I think that's the thing, you see these movies now and they're onto something, I see you. And whenever someone knows your name, coming back to the Good Shepherd, if I know your name and your name is called by somebody else, it grabs your attention. Like this person actually sees me, or they maybe see me more than most, but the capacity we all have to look someone in the eye and say, I see you. I don't see you for what you can do for me. I see you for who you are. And in doing that small gesture, I've wiped away a little of the mud on you. And the privilege I have of doing that and causing you to actually begin to maybe shed a tear and say, wow, he sees me. There's a golden core within me that I didn't see, I didn't acknowledge. That there's something in that exchange that causes us both to recognize that we have infinite worth. We are golden to the core. And as we move in that direction, maybe, we'll begin asking less, because we won't need it, less of Mother Earth. We can see her for who she is and respect it and not ask for so much, because already what we're looking for is right here under the mud.